Hi friends, today we're going to unpack the idea of a highlight from the Make Time framework. Now, if you feel overwhelmed by an overflowing inbox and endless to-do lists, the highlight is a really effective strategy that can bring a lot more satisfaction to your day-to-day and also make you a lot more effective. And for those of you who missed it, we did a video last week explaining what the Make Time framework is, where it came from, and the highlight is step numero uno from Make Time. So definitely worth checking that video out after you watch this one. And before we dive in to explore the highlight, just a quick hello and maybe a welcome back to my channel. My name is Connor and I'm a teacher, a writer, and an entrepreneur. And we use this channel to explore ideas and tactics and frameworks to help us bring more intention and focus into the way that we live and work. Now in this video, we're going to break down the highlight. We're gonna start with talking about why choosing a highlight really matters and what a highlight is. Then we're going to uncover 3 different strategies that you can use to pick your daily highlight. And finally, as always, we'll end with a little bonus challenge that's going to encourage you to take this lovely idea and put it into practice in your own life. So let's unpack the highlight, starting with why the highlight really matters. Why should you even bother trying this out in your own life? I think there are 3 really important reasons that the highlight matters. First is this culture of busyness that we all live in. Second is it helps us be much more proactive rather than reactive. And third is it can bring a lot more satisfaction and joy to our day-to-day. So, number 1, have you ever had one of those weeks where you kind of were running around doing a million things, but Friday rolled around and you were left asking yourself, did I get anything meaningful done this week? You know, I crossed off all these small things, but maybe I didn't move the needle on something important. Now, a lot of us are stuck in this culture of constant busyness called the busy bandwagon. I love the highlight because it's not asking us to get more productive or efficient. It actually asks us to slow down a little bit, to do less, but with more intention. So it's a really great antidote to this culture of busyness. 2 is this idea of being proactive rather than reactive. I remember when I started my career at Google, I was really good at reacting to everything that was coming my way, attending all these meetings I was invited to, responding to many emails. Maybe this sounds familiar to you in your life right now. While it's important to respond to your colleagues and to be there for others, it's also important to be proactive, right? The most effective people carve out that time to do what matters most to them, whether that's at work or in your personal life. And the highlight is a simple daily approach that's allowed me to be a little more proactive with how I choose to spend my time. And that brings us to the 3rd reason that the highlight really matters is satisfaction. So they mention a book called Wrapped. And in this book, they talk about research that shows that what we pay attention to in a day actually directly correlates with how we experience our life. So it's not so much what's happening to us, but it's rather what we're paying attention to. If you ever had one of those days or weeks where things were going well, maybe your calendar was a bit more free, so you would spend some time on those creative projects, or you just were doing more things that you cared about, and it really started to color your perspective on how things were going, right? The highlight can help us do that on a daily basis by being more proactive and intentional and just choosing one thing each day to bring our best energy and attention to. It can leave us feeling more satisfied, which in turn snowballs and can help us have more momentum and motivation and happiness as we go throughout our days. All right, so what exactly is a highlight? I like to think of a highlight as the one big thing that I'm prioritizing and bringing my best energy and attention to each day. The highlight sits in between a task and a goal. It's bigger than a task, but smaller than a goal. So what's a goal? Well, a goal is something, a long-term objective that we're working towards, and they're really helpful to have, but on a day-to-day basis, because they're so far in the distance, you're not left feeling like you've made enough progress on that big goal. Now, what's a task? Well, a task is usually that thing that you're writing down on your to-do list or you find it in your inbox. Yeah, we have to do a lot of tasks in a day, and it can be easy to default to doing a lot of tasks as fast as we can. But as we said earlier, when you focus too much on tasks, you don't really feel that sense of satisfaction at the end of the day. Now, when you're thinking about choosing highlights, there are kind of three strategies we're going to touch on in a bit. So that's satisfaction, urgency, and joy. And that's what's nice about the highlight is it doesn't necessarily have to be something related to your work. You can decide what matters most to you each day, and then you can make that your highlight. Now, I know some of you are probably thinking, wait, Connor, one thing every day? I've got a lot more than one thing to get done. And that's okay. We're not saying that the highlight is the only thing that you're going to do. That would be impossible. It's just that one thing that you're protecting in your day and that you're bringing your best energy and intention to. We think that's really important because it helps us get that satisfaction that I mentioned earlier. Now, when you're thinking about sizing your highlight, what exactly it is, the book recommends 60 to 90 minutes as the length. 90 minutes is kind of what the research suggests is the optimal length before our energy and our attention really start to wane. And 60 minutes is kind of the lower bound because that's about how long it takes to get into that sense of laser mode focus or flow. So 60 to 90 minutes, and you can choose your highlight from a number of different strategies, which we're going to touch on now. Now we've talked about why the highlight matters and a little bit more about what it is. So let's look at the strategies for picking a highlight. And I just want to call out, the highlight is not going to be the only thing that you do in a day, all right? It's just about bringing your best energy and intention to the one big thing that matters the most. So they outline 3 different strategies in the book. The first is about urgency, the second about satisfaction, and the third about joy. So first, urgency. Well, have you ever had one of those days where you knew you needed to get something done, really important, but you wound up doing everything other than that thing? I've had a lot of those days and it doesn't feel great. So a nice way to pick a highlight is if something is urgent and it's time sensitive, you can make it your highlight. This is kind of a needs to get done type of thing. You usually find these in your inbox or they're already on your calendar. And examples might be finishing a performance review for a teammate before the cycle ends, filing your taxes, or helping one of your children out with a school project due this week. So that is about urgency, what needs to get done. But what about what you want to get done? That's the second strategy, and this one's all about satisfaction. It's where I think make time starts to get really interesting, because if you're like me, you probably have a lot of things on your list that you're hoping to spend time on someday when you have a little bit more free time, and then that someday never comes around. Maybe it's learning a new language or an instrument or whatever it is. So the question here is, at the end of the day, what would make me feel satisfied? So whereas urgency is about needs to get done, this is about what you want to get done. So examples from this might be finishing a creative proposal at work and sharing it with a few colleagues for feedback, or researching some destinations for your next family vacation. There are so many things I think that we are wishing that we had more time to do, and by choosing the satisfaction strategy for picking your highlight, you can make someday today in a really realistic and pragmatic way. Finally, the third strategy is about joy and happiness. I think this is an underrated kind of piece of our lives that a lot of the productivity and time management advice misses out on, and that I love about the Make Time approach, because being happy and feeling good about life matters. So the strategy here is, what at the end of the day would make me feel joyful? And this is going to be really personal. It might be something as simple as doing a virtual catch-up with a coworker you haven't connected with in a while, and you know that they're going to bring a lot of positive energy and good vibes, so you make time for that. It could be something totally outside of work, right? Maybe meeting up with a friend for a workout, or going for a long walk with your partner in the morning to get some fresh air. What I love about picking joy highlights is that they kind of ripple throughout your day. So if you make time for something that's going to make you happy and is going to fill you up and energize you, everything else in the day seems to work out a little bit better, a little bit more smooth. So there you have it. Those are the 3 strategies they recommend in the book around choosing your highlight. It can be something that's urgent, something that's going to give you satisfaction, or something that's going to make you feel some joy. Now it's time to move on to our bonus challenge. And I think this is really important because these are great ideas, but they only matter if you apply them and try them out in your own life. So the bonus challenge for you this week is going to be to pick a highlight using the satisfaction criteria. I really like this because it helps us get those projects or those things on the someday maybe list and start doing them right away. So I want you to take a minute and think about something that you've been meaning to spend some time on and you've been wanting to make space for it, but you haven't quite yet, and write that down. If you can write it down on a piece of paper, bonus points, it's gonna make it feel even more real. The second thing is to schedule it. Now, the research suggests that we're much more likely to do something that we've put time into calendaring and scheduling. So if you take a minute to do that, it's extra bonus points. And for me, I find it really helpful to be specific about how I'm going to get started. So for example, my highlight might be making another YouTube video like this. Well, that's a pretty big highlight and I'm not gonna do that in 90 minutes. So what do I need to start with? Well, a really important part of all these videos is writing down a little bit of a script, some talking points. So my highlight tomorrow is going to be my YouTube video, and underneath that, I'm just gonna make a note, start with writing the first draft of my script. So breaking down your big highlight into a first step is another great way so you have an easy on-ramp when you sit down and you know exactly how you're gonna get going. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you learned a little bit more about the highlight and that you have some nice ways to apply it to your life. So if you are interested in this Make Time framework, check out the next video. We're gonna break down step number 2 about laser mode, which is about getting focused and getting into that flow state. And if you like this video, please hit like and subscribe. And if you get to doing the bonus challenge, let us know how it went in the comments. We'd love to hear from all of you. So thanks again for your time and attention, and we'll see you soon.